2025 is here. And even though it has been a slow start to the year for me, I am so excited for all the amazing things coming up in 2025. And I thought it would be the perfect time to talk about my goals and intentions for the new year. So let's get started. Welcome back to Heart Breathings. I have had a rough start to the year, and I feel like that has been true for the past couple of years, that I haven't really been able to get into my goals and everything till mid-January. So if you are feeling the same way, just know that it is never too late to set your goals and to get moving, even if it's not until spring or the new season arrives, because honestly, winter can be a perfect time for those of us in the Northern Hemisphere anyway. Winter can be a perfect time for resting and reflection, so you're not behind. So let go of any of that anxiety. I have had to just surrender to the fact that the beginning of the year is sometimes going to be slow due to sickness. So many of you know I had pneumonia in late November and honestly have still been recovering from it. I still have some fatigue and other things that are lingering from that. And then both of my kids have been sick off and on with pneumonia and strep throat and ear infections. And we have just had it. We have gone through it. And I know from comments that some of you have left me on Instagram and here on YouTube that many of you have also been facing a similar type of thing here over the holidays with pneumonia going around. So, you know what? We can set a fresh, clean slate at any time that we want. And it's never too late. There's a great energy that comes with the beginning of the year, but there's no rules, right? It's just an arbitrary date that we pick to say, this is the beginning. But you can spend all of January or even into February and March setting your goals and still have the best year you've ever had. So don't give yourself any stress if you've needed to just kind of surrender and ease into the year, which is what I have been doing as well. But I do love to spend a little bit of time thinking through what are the biggest things I want to accomplish this year and where do I want my focus and my intentions to be. When it comes to setting goals, I almost always focus more on 90-day goals. So I'm quarterly Q1, my goals are very specific in terms of what projects I want to complete, what money I want to make, how many subscribers I want to get. I get really detailed on my goals. Now, I don't beat myself up if I don't hit those goals, but I do try to set goals that feel achievable and then give myself a little bit of a stretch on some of my goals. So if I say YouTube subscribers, I'll say this is a good goal, which feels very achievable, and then a middle goal that feels a little bit of a stretch, and then a bigger stretch goal so that I'm winning kind of no matter where I land. The problem with yearly goals that are very specific in terms of, I want to write 5 books this year, I want to get 100,000 subscribers, those kind of very specific goals, is that that's 12 whole months of trying to predict what our energy is going to be like, what our year is going to be like. And as the last 2 months have really taught me, we can't really predict when life is gonna life, right? We've had, my husband's father had a stroke this year. That has caused some change and shift in our focus as a family. Sickness, illness, kids, like my son is competing in the regional spelling bee as this video goes live. And so that has shifted some of our focus to him. And that is okay. Life is that's just what's gonna happen. We're gonna be shifting, we're gonna have new opportunities, we're gonna have new challenges throughout the year. And we can't possibly predict all of that sitting here in December or January. And so I found so many years that the more I would plan very specific, this is exactly how many books I want to write, this is exactly how much money I want to make, this is exactly, 1,000 different milestones I want to hit, the more I would stress out throughout the year about, oh no, like if I messed up in March, then that means there's no way I'm going to hit this by December. And I would find midway through the year, I'm already so far behind on those goals that it feels obsolete, or even my focus might shift or my priorities might shift. And by the time the end of the year came around, those really weren't the things that I was focused on anymore anyway. And so for me, it's much more valuable to set those 90-day goals where even if I get off track, I've got a fresh start coming at the end of March. And so I prefer to do those specific milestones. But I do always think about what is the overarching kind of themes and intentions that I have for the year. So when I talk about 2025 goals, I'm really thinking more about like, who do I want to be in the new year? What are the things I most want to focus on? And what are my intentions in terms of things I want to shift or change, or how I want to show up. So I have four main goals, and two of them are more focused on sort of my business side, and two of them are more personal. So we're just going to go over them, and I'm going to talk about kind of what that intention means to me and how I'm shifting some things in my life and my productivity and my habits in order to help achieve them. So, starting with goal number one, which is to write and publish more consistently. This probably surprises nobody here on this channel if you've been around for a while. I am a full-time author who I've sold, over 1 million copies of my books. However, the majority of those sales came in before I started a YouTube channel. And really, the first couple of years of YouTube, I was able to continue on with publishing pretty regularly. But then adding in a second child as well and moving around a lot and starting more courses just meant that my plate got more and more full. And I was spending a lot of my time pouring out. So more creation, 2 YouTube channels, 2 Instagram channels, multiple fan groups. It's just a lot of creation without a lot of time pouring back into me. Back when I was just getting started as a writer, I didn't have any kids. I was spending a lot of time, even though I spent several hours writing, I was also spending a lot of time reading, gaming, walking out in nature, and just had a really good balance in terms of how much I was pouring back into myself to refill my creative well. And many of you have watched through the writer reset, which I think I did in 2023, all the way through to now, that I have really struggled with. How do I get back to that level of excitement and production? Because when I was sitting down to write, it was like I might have an hour or two to write, but nothing would come out. It was just like when they say you can't pour from an empty cup. I had already poured myself out into YouTube and courses and students and kids and community and all these other things that I just had nothing left to give my writing. So, a big question that I was thinking of in 2024 is, how do I find the time to refill my well so that I don't have an empty cup without giving up all these other things that I'm passionate about and love, like YouTube? And really, there's a few things that have emerged, and I'm going to talk about these really in all four of my goals today. But let's talk about first what it means to me to write and publish more consistently, and see how that's not a specific goal. It's not a SMART goal. It's just an intention. I want to publish more consistently. I want to write more this year, and I want it to feel really good. So what that means to me is I'm going to be working mostly in my Shadow Demon Saga world this year. So I finally, after 3 years, published a new book last year, The Disappearance of Vanessa Shaw. And that is a standalone novel. I am super, super proud of it. It was finally kind of like, hopefully, publishing that book has now given me the momentum to keep working. But now I'm back to my fantasy worlds, which is really where I belong. I love the mystery too. It was really fun to write, but like fantasy is really where my heart is. And my main best-selling series is called The Shadow Demon Saga. It sold over 1 million copies. There are 11 books in the main series and then like 4 or 5 spin-off things. And so this year I'm going back into that world pretty much full time. I'm going to be releasing the audiobooks of all of those books in the series, large print formats, potentially new covers. So that's kind of some of the repurposing of my current stuff. I might even do some special editions and some translations this year. We're going to see how that pans out. But in terms of producing new work, I'm going to be going back to finish book 12 of the series, which is about a third of the way written in rough draft. And I'm going to be writing a new serialized story. Now, I was talking about this during the rough draft challenge and stuff. So if you've been around, you're already familiar with this sort of concept, but it's going to be called A Mirror of Shadows. And I don't have a series name for it yet, but it will be 4 books. And I'm going to be writing these like a serial. So a serial is a little different from a novel. And we'll talk about that in a future video, but I'm plotting it a little bit differently. And I'm definitely publishing it a little bit differently. So this story will come out chapter by chapter, and I'll be reading it live on YouTube, but not this YouTube channel. I'll be reading it live over on my @Sarra Cannon YouTube channel. I will link that for you down below if anybody wants to come hear it. And it is basically serialized story set in my Shadow Demons world. And I'm so excited about it. I've been working really hard on it. I've gotten started on the writing of it, and it's going to be really, really fun to read it live to my fans, which is something that I did with a book called The Witch's Key during the pandemic. And it was one of the most fulfilling writing experiences of my life. And I'm excited to get back to that. So the way that I'll be doing this is I'll be reading it live there on that Sarra Cannon YouTube channel every week, probably on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Then it's also going to come out as a podcast weekly on Spotify and Apple and everywhere else, Google. And then once I have finished a book, which I think will be about 6 to 8 weeks of readings, about 12 to 14 episodes, I will publish it as a regular book on Amazon, Apple, Google Play, and everywhere I normally publish. And then we'll do book 2, 3, and 4. And I believe at this moment that it's going to be 4 books. So in total, it'll be one continuous story that will be about 160 to 175,000 words. And I'm so excited. I do not know if it will all come out here in 2025 or if it will leave, some of it for 2026, but I'm not really going to worry so much about the dates and the deadlines as much as I'm going to worry about and think about, or worry isn't the right word, but focus on the fun that I'm having, the fun that my fans are having, and keeping it sustainable as possible for me. So A Mirror of Shadows, the 12th book of my Shadow Demon saga, those are my main focuses for this year. It would be great to get all 5 of those done this year, but I'm not going to set that as a goal. I just want to be more consistent. So then the question is, how do I do that? Right. So I have a few different things that I've been thinking about of how to do it, because it's, if I've written 1 book over the last 3, how do I go from 1 book over 3 years to 5 books over the course of 1 year? And what I'm planning to do is this: more accountability. So I am working with Becca Mysore, who is known as the Fairy Plot Mother, and we're going to be meeting regularly. So having that accountability of she's waiting for chapters from me means that I have to make it a priority in my schedule to get those chapters done. And so it just adds that little bit of outer accountability, which is really good for me. Second, accountability to a writing group in the morning. So writing with my friends, sitting down, having that group that is waiting for me there and is expecting me to show up. That's something that I'm going to get back into. Then also accountability to my fan base. So if I'm reading the story, I'm going to be ahead before I start reading it. Probably in February, it will start getting read, but I'm only going to be a few chapters ahead. And so knowing that they're waiting for those next chapters because I'm reading them live is going to add that little bit of positive pressure and excitement that I'm hoping will help keep me writing. Number 2, or I don't know what number we're on. I don't know. Accountability is really the first one in multiple levels. Number 2, going on more writing retreats. So 2024 and really 2023, I spent a lot of my travel time going to conferences and speaking and giving workshops. That also was good for me because number 1, I'm an extrovert. Number 2, I get to see all my good friends. But this year, I want to do something that I used to do in the past when I was producing a lot more often, which is solo writing retreats or writing retreats with friends, where I basically just get to say goodbye to everything else in my life and just focus on the books. And that I can get a lot done in a small writing retreat. So that's another piece of the puzzle. Another big part of it is finding ways to be more efficient in all the other work that I'm doing and get more support and help. So it frees up more time for me, not necessarily more time to write, but more time to refill my creative well. So gaming, we literally just went out for date night the other night and bought an OG Xbox from a resell gamer store. And we have been playing it so much here while Evie's been sick, just letting her lay in my lap and playing some OG Xbox games. And it's the nostalgia of those older games has been really fun and good for me. But playing games, reading books, just listening to audiobooks, all that kind of stuff refills my well so much to consume other people's stories, watching anime, watching movies, thinking through stuff. It just keeps me connected to story. So I'm prioritizing that more. And I really did find a lot in 2023 and started working on it better in 2024, that when I would have a little bit of free time in the evenings, let's say I finally got Evie to bed and now I've got an hour before I have to be lights out, I would mean to spend a little bit of time reading or whatever, but then it'd be oh, it took Evie longer. And then I had to do the dishes. And by the time I sat down, I only had 20 minutes and it didn't feel like enough time to write or read. And so I would just scroll Instagram or answer emails or something like that. And I just have to put a stop to that. Sometimes it feels like I have such little free time that it's like, why even get into a video game? Because 20 minutes isn't enough to like really immerse myself. And so I'm going to be doing what George calls forced fun time. And I know that sounds kind of funny, but when you become a workaholic or you've just got a busy life, sometimes you do have to kind of force yourself into some fun time. And so what I've done there is I have created a list of the games I want to play, the books I want to read, sort of like a menu, like a fun menu. And as soon as I've got that bit of free time, I have to pick something from the fun menu, basically lock my phones away in my desk drawer and get moving on something fun, whether it's 10 minutes or an hour and a half, some kind of reading. I just pick something from the menu and say, that's what we're going to do tonight is some anime, or that's what we're going to do tonight is some Xbox, and just get moving on it. And I know that in the end, that will help. Another thing that refills my creative well is going on walks. And this is something George and I used to do a lot of, which is going out to parks or other things like that and walking and talking about my story. So we're going to get into that more as well this year. So just refilling the well, taking some of the stress off my plate, ruminating about my story more. I'm hoping all of this plus the accountability is going to mean a lot of really great stories this year. Goal number 2 is really just to continue to support and grow my Heart Breathings community. So that's you. I don't want to lose everything that we have built here. And I want to find that balance between sharing my writing life, sharing what's really going on. And I think I did more of that in the beginning of really sharing how I'm plotting books and different things like that. And I want to get back to it. And if there's any content that you're like, oh, I really loved it when you used to do more of these, or I loved that kind of content, I wish you would do some of that, please leave it in the comments, because I do read all the comments and I would love to hear what it is you have loved most about this channel. And if it has evolved into what it is now, what are you loving about what we do now? And what would you like to see more of that we're not doing as much of anymore? I would love any of those kind of comments. If you have them to give, any feedback is certainly appreciated so I can continue to support you here, which is my ultimate goal. We're a community and that's basically what we've built here. And I want to keep it going. So consistent YouTube videos that are really helpful and really thoughtful. For a while, I got into this idea of like, I need to have more produced, like production. I watched some YouTube channels that are like 300, 400,000 subscribers, and there's just a lot more B-roll and other things. And I thought, oh, I should do more of that. And then it's like a trade-off, because even though it's more visually interesting, it's hard to produce at that level and then still have free time to do my writing. So we may get less production level here at Heart Breathings. I don't really know, but I am going to just do my best to keep sharing my heart as authentically as possible and keep supporting you. We're still going to run courses here, and we're still going to have, of course, our Heart Breathings writing community, where actually this weekend, starting tomorrow, by the time you're watching this, we start our very first virtual writing retreat of the year, which is where we have multiple YouTube channels here. And I will leave a link to that schedule down below, that are going to be running writing sprints for 2 hours at a time, all throughout the days, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So come join us. It's a great way to build community. And you can use those sprints to write, to work on any of your strategy stuff, your planning. You could use it to clean your house, like just enjoy the community. So I appreciate all of our admins that keep that going. And I just really want to keep pouring into that community, keep pouring into my alumni and my students. We also have, for the first time ever, a live in-person event that is happening on March 19th. It's called HeartyCon 2025. It's an all-day planning intensive for authors who really want to strategize how to build basically a strong strategy around your branding, marketing, what you're writing, and really make it a cohesive strategy to go from where you are to making a lot more money as a writer. There's going to be a free exclusive workbook. There's going to be swag. There's going to be time in New Orleans. It's going to be so fun. So far, I've only opened that up to alumni of my courses. But if you're an alumni and you haven't seen anything come through about that and you'd like to join us in New Orleans, just reply to today's email or send me an email, Sarah at Heart Breathings. And if you're not an alumni of my courses, courses, but you're like, I really, really want to go to that, send me an email and we'll chat about whether it's going to be right for you. But we already have over 50 people signed up and it's going to be super fun. So that's something new I'm trying this year, but just all the ways that I can continue to support you and continue to grow and build this community in a way that we're all supporting each other and keeping it like a super positive place on the internet. More rough draft challenges, which we'll be doing in April. And I know we have not yet reset the website so that it's workable anytime, but it is on the list. It's just sick kids. We've been delayed, but April will be doing another official rough draft challenge. And if you have been wanting to join Publish and Thrive, that opened today. So all of that information will be down below. We start February 1st. So continuing to run the courses and just continuing to pour my whole self and my whole heart into it. And as I learn more about continuing to sell more books and expand on the things that I'm doing, like audiobooks and special editions and Kickstarters and serials and memberships and things like that, all of that information will go into those courses too. So it's going to be a really fun year for that. So how though do I continue to stay consistent here, but also consistently write and publish? So I talked about some of the ways, but I have some more things on my plate for 2025 that I think are going to help me. Number one, I'm going to get more into batching some of the content. Now I can't really batch vlogs, right? I can't like record a bunch of different vlogs because vlogs are meant to be real time, like a day in my life as an author or a reset of my goals for the month. But when it comes to notebook challenge and videos where I'm just talking about how to write scenes or how to, build a career as an author, I could sit down and record 4 or 5 of those videos in a day and make it just a recording day and then pass that off to a video editor. Whereas the way that I've been operating for the most part for the past 7 years here on YouTube is I have basically just been saying, I've got a video due this week. So I'm going to sit down and record this one video, which means setting up all my lights again, getting my camera going. And there's a lot of work that goes into the setup and then, getting everything up into my computer so I can edit it myself. And that just takes hours and hours. So if I could sit down, get everything set up one time, get my mindset into a deep work focus of, okay, I've got my makeup on, maybe I just changed my t-shirt or something like that, and I batch 4 or 5 videos in a day, then I can show up with as much energy as possible and do it on a day where I'm really excited to make videos and then pass that off to an editor and save myself literally 20 hours of work by having somebody else do that. And, it is kind of crazy to think that coming up this February, in a month, will be at the 7-year anniversary of this channel. It's just wild that we've been around for this long and that you guys are with me. It just means a lot. But at the same time, it's time to sort of pass some of that work off to somebody else. I do also plan to start a membership here on this YouTube channel. And some of the things that I want to do inside that membership are doing some more plan with me, some more Q&As and co-working time. So if you're interested in that, stay tuned because that membership is opening really soon as well. And that will just be a membership here on YouTube only, where you'll get extra live streams and shorts and different things like that. So focusing on building the community, but doing it in a more sustainable way where I've got more help and support from outside sources is kind of how I'm planning to do that. I'm also planning to do more theme days. So instead of sitting down and being like, I'm going to write for 3 hours and then I'm going to make a video and then I'm going to make some YouTube short content and then I'm going to do some Instagram reels and then I'm going to answer some emails, where I'm constantly context switching. My hope is to get to a point where I'm like, today is a recording day and all I'm going to do is record, and it's that theme of the day. So I'm not doing a lot of context switching. If you're not familiar with context switching, it's just the idea that, when our brain goes from a recording to a strategy task to an email task and we're constantly getting interrupted, we actually lose just percentages upon percentages every single time we switch our focus. So if you can focus on one thing, now I know some of you with ADHD out there might be like, yes, I have days where I hyper focus, but then there are other days where it would just be impossible for me. Y'all, I just look out and there's a rooster sitting outside my front lawn. The roosters are not supposed to be in the front lawn, but anyway, life with chickens. I know theme days where you're just deep work focused on one single thing isn't possible for everybody. But I think for me, one of the big things I'm going to be trying out this quarter to see if it works and then adjust it is that idea of batching my work and having theme days where it's like, today I'm just going to make 15 Instagram reels. And today I'm going to answer all these emails or get all this work done. And then having entire weekends where it's nothing but writing. And I think that will really help me, but I'll keep you updated on how that works. In terms of a YouTube goal, like I said, I don't necessarily set numbers, but I know that I would love to be at 90,000 subscribers by the end of the year. It would be so cool to finally hit 100K. So if you have loved this channel in any way, or if you've been watching and you have never subscribed, hit that subscribe button or share this with a friend that you think would enjoy it and encourage them to subscribe. It would mean so much to me. But like I said, the numbers will come eventually as long as I show up authentically and continue to grow the community. The numbers will take care of themselves. So I don't set that so much as a goal as the way that I want to support you is more the goal that I set. Okay, number three is to have the best health that I can possibly have. So many of you know I have PCOS, which is polycystic ovarian syndrome. And this is something that many of you I know also have and struggle with. And it is really hard to even to explain all the different ways. It causes anxiety, depression, pain. It causes fatigue on a massive level, brain fog. It just spiders out into just about everything in your life. And there are some months that are a lot harder than others. And I just know that there are a lot of things that I could do to improve my health with PCOS that I don't do. So, one being get more consistent sleep. So, I do have sleep apnea, which is another side effect of having, or symptom, or whatever you want to say, of having PCOS. And since I've had pneumonia, it has been almost more difficult to sleep with my CPAP machine because I've been so congested as well. So, like being more consistent in my sleep hours, which means getting to bed at an earlier time, which might be in conflict with my idea of gaming and reading. So, I'm going to have to set some boundaries and alarms there too. But just making sure that I get at least 7 to 8 hours of really good, like sleep with my CPAP machine every single night that I can. Many of you also know and are aware that when you have a 5-year-old daughter who's sick or son, you're up all night with them. And I have not been getting very good sleep lately. So I'm definitely looking forward to good sleep. More water, less stress and anxiety. So I'm going to be incorporating more walks, more movement in my day, more working at my standing desk, because I heard someone say the other day, sitting is the new smoking, which is so true. Like we sit so much that it's really bad for our bodies. And so just trying to incorporate that standing work time, the movement in my day, more water, being more consistent with my supplements, being more consistent with the things that I put into my body, and as well as the things that I'm doing in terms of movement. All of that is going to help my PCOS. And I'm going to be tracking it through Notion in what I call Project 48. So I'm going to keep you guys updated on that in a future video as well. I will be 48 1 week from the day this video goes out, January 23rd. And so Project 48 is all about making this year, my year of being 48, the year that I finally get into my very best health that I can for where I am right now. And I'm excited to make that a priority. And in fact, I know that reducing the brain fog, getting better sleep, having just in general less anxiety and less, which is really goal number 4. So we'll get into that in just a second. I kind of separated those out, but just feeling better and all of that will help me be a better writer. It will help me show up with more energy and support this community. And so it's one of those foundational kind of things that is going to help in a million different ways. So that is another really big piece of it. And then my fourth goal, which I did, it plays into goal 3, but it's separate because it's so important, is to have just more focus on joy and less anxiety and worry. So I want to continue to work on lessening my anxiety. It already is, like many of you have been around for multiple years, and you know that probably 2 to 3 years ago, I was really going through it with anxiety. And I still have days like that, but for the most part, have been working on better mental health and less worry about imaginary scenarios and things that might happen. And so continuing to focus more on joy and gratitude and things like that. So here's what I wrote down is really focusing more on my own fulfillment and the gratitude of the things I have, more so than focusing on the things I don't yet have in my life. Because I have spent a lot of time being anxious about losing what I have, about not being supported or loved, about being attacked online. Like I have certain things that have caused a lot of anxiety, a lot of it because of my past trauma, and really getting like what I believe is CPTSD from childhood trauma, and just kind of continuing to work on that. So that means getting into a new therapist, which is something I've been working on, getting in with a better doctor, more exercise and walks, better sleep, like all of that will play into it, but also actively working on meditation and things that will lower my stress. And so these are my goals and intentions for 2025. And I'm really, really excited about it. And in some ways, it has felt really frustrating to have all these great intentions, have all these goals for Q1, and then be sick and feel like I'm behind, but has given me some good practice on the anxiety thing to just say, okay, I got to surrender because I can't control all the things that are going on in life. But what I can do is I can do the best that I absolutely can. But what I can do is I can focus as much as possible on my family, on the things I am able to get done, on gratitude for all the things that I have that I'm so grateful for. So those are my intentions and goals for 2025. My word of the year is radiant. And what I mean by that word of the year is really, I want to focus so much on my own joy of writing, joy of creating, joy of this community, like all the things that I have poured my passion into. I want it to feel not like a burden, not like a responsibility or something that's on my to-do list or checklist on my Kanban board, but I want all of these things that I'm doing to feel like they're fulfilling me, like it's a give and take, like I give to you, you give back to me, that we all feel supported and loved here, and that my writing feels the same way. Like I just want it to feel like if I'm taking care of myself and I'm being as centered and authentic as I possibly can, that will radiate out to the whole community. And there are a lot of things in the world that are out of our control, but I can control how I show up, and I can control the things that I put out. And I know that I can't always put out nothing but good vibes and positive energy because I am human. I can't always show up 100% with 100% energy, but I can do my best to let you know where my heart is and to make you feel supported here in this space, and to help you change your life, and to sell more books, and to follow your joy, and to use your stash, and like all the different things that we talk about here on Heart Breathing. So I hope that the videos that I have made over the last 7 years have made a difference for you. And I am hopeful that you also know how much you mean to me here in this community. And I just adore you guys. And I'm looking forward to all the things coming up in 2025. I do have a few other things, like I said, recorded. So we have a 2025 New Year reset that it was a vlog where I was resetting my Kanban board, cleaning up the house, keeping things organized and stuff like that. Did not have a chance yet to edit that. So that's coming soon. And instead of a January notebook challenge, like I hoped, we will just have a February notebook challenge. And we'll start moving forward from there. But also, Publish and Thrive opened up today. So if you have been looking forward to joining in on this class that really teaches you everything from how to decide what to write and do marketing research and figure out your covers and your blurb and all of that, to how do you start your business, how do you upload to all these different vendors, how do you market your books, and how do you follow through with a positive mindset and make this a sustainable career. This is not a Facebook ads course. This is not a how to take out Amazon ads kind of course. This is more of a foundational, how do you create books and series and a strategy that will help you if you decide later to take out Facebook ads? How do you actually get your books finished and move forward in your career? How do you actually get that career started? And it's such a game changer. It's 6 amazing weeks, and we've got lots of cool bonuses, and including this time, I'm going to be launching something else this year, which is a website and newsletter company where you will basically get templates on how to set up your welcome newsletter, how to create your website. And it's going to be just drag and drop really easy author websites. And this is the first time I've really been able to offer it and really talk about it. So those of you in Publish and Thrive, both alumni and new students, will get first access to that, as well as potentially some good discounts and some training on how to set up your website in a super easy way. And I'm so excited for all the things that are coming. Also, like I said, HardyCon is just around the corner. So if you want to come join us live in New Orleans, that is also starting. It's going to be March 19th. And so if you're really interested in it, make sure you reply to today's email or send me an email and let me know, and I will help you get signed up. Otherwise, what are your intentions for 2025? I am ready to sell more books, build more community, have more joy, have better health, and just really lean into self-fulfillment and excitement and gratitude. And I think it's going to be a really great year. So slow start, but that just means like a rubber band, slow start, just waiting to zoom forward as we move into the rest of the new year. I wish you a happy new year. I hope your year has been off to a really great start. And I hope that you are here with me as we continue to pursue our goals. I super love you guys. I'm so grateful for you. And I will see you in my next video. Bye.